Love it or hate it, woke culture has had an impact on today's society. However, things may be changing faster than you know. Euston Oxford Student Union in November 2022 asked the question: has woke culture gone too far? Those against woke culture argue it has gone too far with its virtue signaling, its constant division of society, with labeling people as transphobic, homophobic, racist, or some other pejorative just for a small criticism of woke culture, or the constant fear of being cancelled or expressing the wrong opinions, leaving no room for middle ground or discourse. On the other side, you have the defenders of woke culture, who argue that it makes society more inclusive and gives historically marginalized groups a chance to flourish.
Now, I believe that many of those in the woke movement mean well. They truly desire, a more harmonious world, but the tactics and the leadership has opted for an aggressive conformity policy, which is starting to drive a lot of people away from it. Much has happened since the Oxford Student debate, and there are strong signs of change. Woke culture is declining quickly, far quicker than you may even imagine. Today we'll look at the signs of change in society, business and sports, media, law, and demographics, which is leading to this decline of woke culture. Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, we should probably start by first defining what woke is. Traditionally, woke is defined as awareness of social injustice.
However, temporarily, it's probably better described as pejorative to describe someone who is obsessed with bringing equity to all social identities.
Start first with one of the most controversial topics. That's gender affirming care and the transition of minors.
Many of the countries that started this trend are starting to reverse course, such as Norway, Sweden, and the UK.
The Swedish documentary, The Trans Train, is a great place to start for understanding this shift. Also, in the UK, the largest gender identity clinic, the Haverstock Clinic, is now closing its doors. There's a class action lawsuit against them with over 1,000 former clients and family members taking them to court. On top of that, a large number of heart-wrenching stories of detransitioners is starting to emerge, which is casting doubt on the whole enterprise. In the world of sports, the World Athletics Council, the governing body for international track and field, has declared it will now bar trans women from competing in the women's division that have gone through male puberty. They still can compete in the open division against the men, however. This decision was reached because of the evidence of the overwhelming advantage that male puberty provides athletes. Looking at the world of business, many companies are now moving away from woke advertising. Consumers are starting to get tired of the needless virtue signaling. Most companies don't care about woke issues, they just care about virtue signaling as a way of picking up easy few customers. After the Bud Light boycott and Target boycott, companies are getting the message that virtue signaling is not worth it anymore. A number of companies, like Starbucks and NHL, are starting to step back away from many issues that may be considered controversial. On top of this, many companies are now starting to move away from diversity, equity, and inclusion creating. It has been found that the effectiveness of these programs is lacking, needless to say. Surprise, surprise, when you put people in a group and label one as oppressor and the other as oppressed, it doesn't make for a hospitable work environment. This, on top of the looming recession, has led to a lot of employees in the HR or DI divisions being laid off and removed.
In addition to this, you have companies and investors are starting to move away from ESGs. Juggernauts in the financial industry, such as Vanguard and BlackRock, have both made public statements saying that they are moving away from the use of ESGs. In the world of entertainment, you have the Oscars asking for no more political speeches. You have Disney changing out its CEO and starting to remove or replace those who are aligned with woke culture, such as the head of diversity, the CEFO, or perhaps even Kathleen Kennedy. These changes are not limited to Disney. Warner Bros. Discovery laid off its diversity executive, and Netflix chief of inclusion strategy has been replaced. Throughout the industry, DI staff are being laid off or let go. In addition to this, a number of TV series and movie flops have led to a lot of major studios pivoting away from woke content.
Socially, even within the woke ideology coalition, you're starting to see division as well.
The LGB Alliance has split from the LGBTQ plus coalition. They argue that the interests of lesbian, gay men, and bisexuals are not compatible with woke ideology, which attempts to introduce confusion between biological sex and the notion of gender.
Looking at the legislative front, a number of laws you've probably seen in the news come out, specifically targeting woke ideology. And the Supreme Court has now removed race as an administration standard to higher education. Looking at changing population trends, California's population is in decline. About 500,000 people left California on net over the last 2 years. The decline of the largest woke state will certainly have a ripple effect.
Top of this, it's likely that as populations begin to decline around the world, it'll take attention away from woke issues.
I want to end with a quote from Konstantin Kissinger, one of the individuals in the Oxford debate, and also the founder of trigonometry. He says that the future is not woke, and the future is not anti-woke. The future is going to be post-woke. The problem with the anti-woke movement is that it has many of the same pitfalls that the woke movement itself has. For a future, we don't want the same problem with a different flag. Also, opposition movements do not tend to provide a pathway forward. Sure, they can be great at tearing down a bad idea, but after that, they just kind of spin their wheels without a vision for the future. So we'll need a new pathway forward. This means the future is up for grab. Will you seize it? Well, those are my thoughts on the future of woke. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. Who knows? Guess time will tell. Thanks for watching. May your future be bright, regardless of the outcomes. God bless and take care.